If you use Google Ads for your online business or you plan to do so in the near future, then this video is exactly for you because I'm sharing some strategies and insights from this particular client's account where we have done about $2 million in sales. And I want to really share with you how we got there. What were some really key takeaways, some important takeaways that you can implement in your business as well. So no matter whether you are looking for more scale of your Google Ads or more profits of your account, this video will share some really important key data for you to get there. Now, first things first, if you wonder why this looks a little bit weird here on the left-hand side, it's because I squeezed the column of the campaign name to the very left so that I don't have to edit it out all the time when doing the editing of the video. That way I can just navigate through the account freely and I don't have to worry about that. Also, as some background info on this particular store, it's a jewelry store mostly tailored to men. So it's a niche-based jewelry store, relatively high ticket, some pieces $80, $100, $120. But with this being said, let's jump straight into the first takeaway. And the first takeaway is fairly straightforward, but I want to get this straight from scratch. And this is, don't wait for campaigns to become profitable too long when they're generating sales. So what I see a lot when people come to me for, managing their ads or just seeking help, they have campaigns, for example, let's say a smart shopping campaign or a normal shopping campaign. And this campaign is getting sales, but they are very unprofitable. And what they think is that with enough ad spend and with more scale, they will be able to get there and they will see those profitable sales. But the thing is, we're not really talking about economies of scale here, right? Campaigns are not getting more profitable just because you get more scale. Usually it's actually the opposite. So if we look at this account here where we started in early 2019, you see that there is pretty much like an inverse between sales and ROAS, right? Conversion value by cost. So the sales were growing and over time. And actually we had our record last month with around $202,000 in sales purely through Google Ads. And this is very interesting to look at because you see here that sales are growing almost steadily, completely since 1 year now, but ROAS is declining a little bit. And this is not a big deal, right? It's not like an issue because with scale, almost inevitably comes some sort of decrease of profits. And that's because you're growing your audience, you're targeting more people, and they might be not as much of a low-hanging fruit as the people you targeted initially. So if we compare this with those campaigns here at the beginning, which was like almost 2 years ago, yes, we were getting crazy ROAS of 7 or 6 or something, but the volume was a lot less than it is right now. So you see here almost this perfect inverse curve. And I'm not saying that this happens all the time. I have cases where we were growing sales and profits at the same time, but it really depends on the business. Sometimes it is possible, sometimes it's barely possible actually, right? And now I'm only looking at enabled campaigns, but even if I look at all campaigns, the total volume doesn't increase that much. So the graph looks a little bit different, but the majority of the campaigns we're looking at here, they are active right now. So I'm looking at all enabled for the sake of this video because the majority of conversions are in the account when I look at the all enabled tab. So keep this in mind. Seek profitability first, really work hard on getting your campaigns profitable and then scale versus doing it the other way around. That's extremely important if you want to do it the right way. The second thing is something that not many people are aware of that it even exists, and definitely few people are using it, and this is reports. So if I go to this other tab here and I go here, with reports over here, you can check some predefined reports or you can actually open reports by yourself. I'm clicking reports over here and I'm creating a new report using a table. Now, the reports actually take all account data into account, right? And that's the good thing, because usually if you look on a campaign level, it only shows you the data of that particular campaign, of course. And if you want to compare or aggregate data across multiple campaigns, it's not very easy to do so from this top level account window. But if you go here, let's say, for example, you want to learn a little bit more about the age distribution of your customers, right? That's something that is very difficult to do on an account level if you don't look at reports. So I'm dragging the age here in the row, and then I'm checking on conversions and put them here in the column. And now I see, okay, which were the sales by age group and how many sales did they generate? And we see here there is a very, very strict and very clear decline in sales volume the older the audience gets. And I mean, look at this, right? We have only 6 years in this span, yet they generate almost as much as this and more than basically all these 3 age ranges combined. So it's a very clear picture that this report here paints. We are getting most of our sales from those age ranges. And if we now layer this, for example, with the ROAS, which is conversion value divided by cost, right? We will see that this picture isn't really as clear in ROAS as well. So here, the majority of our sales come from this fairly young audience, and especially those very young ones, since it's only 6 years as opposed to like 9 years over here. But in terms of ROAS, they are not the best, right? So that's really data that can help you make better decisions with your account. In our case, the ROAS isn't that clear, but oftentimes when I work with clients' accounts, I see that one age group is really outperforming in terms of ROAS, one age group is really not doing that well. And if you check that on the campaign, on the report, so on the account level, it tells you a lot about your audience. And this is really helpful if you have a niche store, right? So having a niche store is another key aspect. Google Ads will be a lot more effective if you have a niche store. So keep that in mind, and this will be very powerful. If you have a niche store, then this report here can tell you a lot about your users. And it also means that it tells you a lot about who you should target. If you see that one audience is doing exceptionally well in terms of ROAS and or sales, it makes more sense to specifically target that audience or increase your bids for that audience, and just make sure that you're talking more towards those people when you want to scale and when you want to optimize. Here, again, a lot of sales from those younger folks, but not that crazy of a ROAS when compared to others, even though here, when we look at the older age range, there is a very deep decline in ROAS. Like from here to here, it decreases by over like 1 ROAS, right? 4.7 to 3.49. And then you have the undetermined, which unfortunately in Google make up quite a bit because they aren't as good as attributing actual personal data to people as, for example, Facebook, where you have to add all that stuff into your account, right? So that's fairly important. But of course, we can also look at other stuff, like, for example, genders. As I said, we are a mostly men jewelry store. But if we look at the gender, what you notice is even though the majority of our customers are men, a lot of women seem to be buying pieces for their whatever, boyfriend, husband, son, dad, or whatever, because we can't really explain it otherwise. Like the vast majority of our pieces are for men. Maybe some women like them as well and they just wear them, but we sort of explain it by thinking about, okay, they're probably buying it as a gift, as a birthday present or something like that. But this report here, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? You can look at campaigns. You can, let me just put myself over here. You can look at the performance of a certain, cohort. You can look, of course, at devices, which is also very interesting. If we look at the devices, let's throw gender out again, put devices in, and we see, let me put myself back here. We see suddenly that desktop, not very surprisingly, gets a lot less conversions than mobile, but more profitably. This is something that it looks like this for most stores. Usually desktop is even more profitable than this difference, something like 4.1 for mobile and like 6 for desktop. It's not uncommon, but we have a very, very big difference in terms of number of sales. And this is very extreme here. Usually it's like 5 to 1, 8 to 1, something like that. Here it's even more crazier. It's like 12 to 1 or something like that, mobile versus desktop. But this report can tell you a lot about the overall account behavior rather than just on a single campaign level. So keep that in mind and use it whenever you can. The next point is that you should not always stick with purely shopping campaigns. As soon as you start making more sales, right, as soon as a campaign works well, and as soon as a campaign grows, a shopping campaign, use and leverage that data to create more campaigns. Like, for example, create search campaigns based on the top search terms of your shopping campaigns, or use the conversion data that Google accumulates, because Google gets better and better in understanding who your customer is, and build a discovery campaign with that. As you can see here, yes, a lot of our campaigns are shopping, but we also have some search campaigns. We have another search campaign here. We have, where is it? We also have a display campaign that is doing quite well, but where is it right now? There we go, right? This is actually not a pure retargeting campaign. Yes, yet it is actually generating nice sales for us. So you see a lot of search campaigns, brand, unbranded, categories, products, display. Discovery didn't work that well for us. You see that there is no active discovery campaign running right now. But all in all, branching out will really give you the opportunity to explore more sales, get more people in. And also sometimes you will see that there are search campaigns or even display campaigns that are a lot more profitable than your shopping campaigns. So testing them out, if you made some sales with shopping already, because usually that's the lowest hanging fruit, makes a lot of sense. Don't make the mistake to only use shopping and never try anything else. And this also brings me to my next point, because I'm also a big advocate of not focusing purely on smart shopping all the time. It's very tempting. Smart shopping works very well in a lot of cases. But the problem is, as soon as you get down that hole and you focus completely on smart shopping, it's very hard to do anything else, and it's very hard to scale, because you probably noticed that you increase the budget of your smart shopping campaign or you change the bid strategy or something, but it doesn't really grow that much in sales. So at some point you're stuck with a potentially profitable smart shopping campaign doing 10K, 50K, 100K per month. But it's very hard to scale beyond that, because smart shopping takes away the budget and the priority of everything else. So having one big fat smart shopping campaign can be quite a problem when you want to really scale to the next level. So instead, you should really focus on having some smart shopping campaign only targeting certain products, where you focus on normal shopping campaigns targeting other products, or doing something like that. This will definitely do better than having one big smart shopping campaign that might perform well in the beginning, but as soon as you're really trying to take things to a whole new level, then issues emerge and it gets more difficult. So keep things separated. Also, it allows you to get more insight on your sales data, on your search terms, etc. Then the next point is about scaling. And it sounds very obvious, but it's something that did very well for us. We just started branching out into other countries. So if your supplier, your product can be shipped to people from other countries, first build a core in your original country, in your home country, in our case, the US, right? Probably 98% of our sales so far come from the US. But a couple of weeks ago, I started branching out into UK and Canada, and we are seeing first results from it. Like, I think so far we have made around 80 sales, 50 sales or something in those two countries. Still at the very beginning, ROAS isn't crazy yet, but we see that we are around break even for UK and we are at a little over break even for Canada. So it tells me, okay, things are working out. Now I can scale those. Sure, they will probably not surpass the US in terms of volume, but if I can add another 10%, 20%, potentially 30, 40% doing that, and then also go with New Zealand, Australia or something, this can really have a big impact on the account as long as those sales are at least breaking even or profitable, right? The more sales data you accumulate on one country, Google will learn all the time. Of course, the stuff that Google learns is best applied in the country where Google learned it from. But if you translate that to another country, it definitely helps. So if you make a lot of sales in the US and you know that you can ship elsewhere, try some very low budget, low bid shopping or search campaigns in other countries as well. Don't go all in like $500 a day, $2 cost per click bid, but start very small, 20, $30 a day, have very low bids, try other countries out if you can ship there, and then see if you can get a foot in the door in those countries as well. Then, as soon as this is the case, of course, all the normal tactics and strategies apply, like how you scale, how you improve and optimize bidding strategies, bids, search terms, all that kind of stuff. If you want to learn more on all these things, of course, feel free to check out the link in the description for my Google Ads training, or working directly with me, or making me handle your full Google Ads campaigns. But basically, when you go into a new country, get a foot in the door, try to get profitable on a very small level, low bids, low budgets, and then do the normal scaling that you do with your original account as well. A lot of people either do that very early. Initially, I think you should focus to build up sort of authority and grow in one country, and then go to others, or people make the mistake of not ever scaling to other countries at all. And this is, of course, like equally bad, because at some point you should really consider this. I think in this case here with us, we even did it too late, but we had some issues with getting our products delivered to other countries as well. So, it was okay here. We didn't really have too much of a choice. The next point, and pretty much the last one, is to not be too strict with your targeting all the time, especially when we talk about Google search ads. A lot of people like to use SKAGs, so single keyword ad groups, or exact match all the time, or always using at least phrase match. And don't get me wrong, this is usually the best way to get started, and it gives you some low-hanging fruits, right? Because you can define who you want to which search queries you want to show up for. But basically, you should always have some room for surprised sales and surprise search terms. So if you use some broad match in your campaigns as well, setting up a search campaign, you have some keywords that are exact match or phrase match or something like that. But at the same time, you also go with some others. Some broad matches in this case, this will really help you understanding better what's going on, and you will get new ideas on which search queries might potentially also be profitable for you, right? So if you have some broad match in the mix, it is really helpful because Google will come up with some new ideas on search queries that might turn to sales that you have never thought about. So doing it that way gets you some new interesting searches that you can then put, if you like, into a phrase match or exact match or something, and then use it to scale. Of course, what you can also do is get some cost control in there. So if I use an ad group, what I often do is have one exact match with higher bids or phrase match with higher bids and one broad match with a lot lower bids, because I don't want those two or those three to spend the same amount, but I want to really focus my budget mostly on the specific ones, but get a loose broad match to get new ideas. And sometimes there is a hidden gem that will actually allow you to scale with a keyword you never thought about. So these are some absolute key points when scaling. Of course, there are many more. I just try to, focus on some that I think are very important and usable for most people. Of course, there are dozens of other things that we've done along the way. I mean, we've been working together for 2 years now. Things are going really, really well at the moment. But I thought this is like an abstract. These are some key points that are important for many people. If you want to learn more, of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And as I said, check the link in the description. Maybe I can help you do similar things as well, or I can teach you through my training to do those things all by yourself. If you enjoyed this video, as I said, please subscribe, please leave a like and comment below which of these points you can apply to your business. And if you are doing other things right now that help you really scale to the next level, would be extremely important and also interesting to know. And with this being said, thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it, and I'm really looking forward to see you in the next one again. Bye-bye.